Hey guys, tonight we crawl back into the shadowy corners of medieval Europe. No fancy candles or clean linens here, just you, your wool blanket, and the kind of sickness that made even the rats think, nope, not today. You're standing in a cramped alley, mud sloshing underfoot, a strange smell riding the wind, somewhere between spoiled meat and boiled shoes. You follow the stench until you see it. A cart rolls by. It's not carrying food. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as always, I want to know, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You tug your hood low and try not to breathe too deeply. The town is unusually quiet. That's never a good sign. In this medieval village, nestled somewhere between France and the Holy Roman Empire, the plague has made a return visit. You know, as one does, the Black Death, or bubonic plague, wasn't a single wave. It was like your clingiest friend who keeps showing up uninvited, but instead of pizza, it brings fever, pus, and mass graves. You've probably heard about the death toll, maybe 25 million people in Europe alone. But have you ever tried to imagine what it smelled like? You pass a house with a red X smeared on the door. Inside, silence. That's worse than screaming. They say it starts with a headache, then fever, then swellings in your armpits and groin. Black bulbous things called buboes. They pulse like they're alive, and maybe they are. Within days, people are coughing blood, delirious and unrecognizable. You've seen it, and you've seen the rats leave. Here's the thing. Rats didn't cause the plague, but they were great at helping it along. Their fleas were like medieval Ubers for Yersinia pestis, the bacterium behind this nightmare. The irony? The rats themselves would flee infected homes, leaping into rivers, or scurrying to nearby woods like four-legged evacuation alarms. When even the vermin start packing their bags, you know it's bad. There's a woman across the alley, waving something. A dried herb bundle, probably rosemary. It won't help. People hang them from doorways to cleanse the air. But let's be honest, a rosemary stick's no match for bacterial warfare. You glance down at your own belt pouch, where a vinegar-soaked rag lies folded. That's your defense plan. It smells awful. You're wearing it anyway. Doctors, such as they were, dressed like cosplay birds. Long black robes, gloves, and beaked masks stuffed with herbs. They waddled around like cursed ducks, prescribing treatments like bleed them more, or rub on crushed emeralds. Historians still argue whether they helped or just got in the way. But one thing's certain, they never stayed long. You wouldn't either. The town square is quieter now. The market stalls are empty, except for a few brave or desperate vendors hawking questionable bread. You see someone in a cloak, familiar? No, just another mourner. Or is that the gravedigger? This plague doesn't care if you're rich or poor, pretty or pockmarked. It doesn't care if you've said your prayers or stolen from the baker. It comes fast, kills faster, and disappears when it feels like it. The worst part? No one knows why. Not really. They blame bad air, sin, foreign merchants, cats, everything but the real culprit. A flea no bigger than a sesame seed. You step back into your cottage at dusk. You lock the door, but deep down, you know a wooden door won't stop what's already in the air, or the blood or the bite that happened 2 days ago. You wake up the next morning drenched in sweat. Not the good kind from a warm blanket or a summer breeze, but the kind that clings to your skin like guilt. Your joints ache, your head throbs, and your face feels like it's been rubbed with nettles. You shuffle to the mirror, or well, the polished metal plate hanging crookedly on the wall, and there it is, red bumps, tiny at first, angry, glowing things clustered around your chin and nose. You lean closer. Is that pus? Welcome to your intimate introduction to medieval facial fevers, particularly those special horrors like St. Anthony's fire or erysipelas, and worse. Your neighbors call it a curse. Your village priest says it's divine punishment for ungodly conduct, which is medieval code for we have no idea what's going on. Meanwhile, you're stuck trying not to scratch your face off with a broken spoon. The swelling begins to spread. across your cheeks, down your jaw. Soon your skin feels tight, like it's being inflated from underneath. You remember seeing someone like this a month ago. She didn't make it. The midwife suggested honey and crushed barley paste. You tried it. Now your face is sticky and inflamed. You also tried the other remedy, sleeping with a blessed relic under your pillow. It gave you weird dreams about glowing frogs and screaming cabbages, but no healing. Historians still argue whether these outbreaks were bacterial infections, allergic responses, or fungal madness caused by moldy bread. Thanks, Rye Ergot. You don't care. You just want the itching to stop. And here's the medieval kicker. You're not just in pain, you're contagious. But not in a polite, please excuse my sniffles kind of way. No. In a full-on, entire families quarantined behind boarded doors kind of way. And for women, especially, it's worse. A man with boils might be called cursed or touched. You're whispered about as a witch. Or worse, a body corrupted by lust. Sound unfair? Welcome to Tuesday. One girl in the village, Rika, got a rash once. Didn't even blister. But because she was too pretty to be that sick, people assumed she'd made a pact with demons. Her house was burned, with her in it. So now you hide. A scarf covers most of your face. You speak less. People avoid eye contact. But still, the rumors spread faster than the disease itself. A traveling monk passes through, selling rosewater and vials of Jerusalem dust. You trade him your grandmother's silver ring. That dust? It's just sand. You sniff it anyway. By nightfall, your fever's worse. You feel floaty, as if your body's decided to run without you. And just when you're ready to give up entirely, you vomit in your sleep and suddenly feel slightly better. That's the terrifying rhythm of these fevers. They play with you. One minute you're on death's doorstep, the next you're at your window asking for stew. And just when you dare to think the worst is over, the boils return, with friends. So you lie back down, cloth across your eyes, and whisper a little prayer, not for healing, but that the rats stay outside your door tonight. If they're still here, maybe your soul hasn't entirely left yet. You're awake, but barely. The room swims a little when you move your head. Your ears ring and your thoughts slip around like eels in a bucket. You try to sit up, but your limbs don't agree. Your hands twitch. Your tongue feels thick, swollen like someone stuffed wool in your mouth. You want to speak, but what comes out is nothing anyone understands. This isn't just a fever anymore. This is something deeper, stranger. Your neighbors have a word for it. Madness. But not the poetic kind whispered in sonnets. This is full-body disarray, a storm inside your skull. You've heard stories of people losing their grip this way. One boy in your village once started barking like a dog. Another woman tore out all her hair, strand by strand, humming softly while doing it. They say she believed bees lived beneath her skin. They say she smiled through all of it. Historians still argue whether these were forms of epilepsy, meningitis, ergot poisoning, or perhaps psychosis caused by sheer trauma and malnutrition. Whatever the cause, one thing is clear. Your mind has become unreliable. And in the medieval world, that's terrifying. You try to trace it back. Was it the spoiled barley gruel, the mildew-smelling bread, maybe the rat bite? Or was it simply the gods spinning the wheel and pointing randomly? The worst part? People don't just fear your condition, they blame you for it. A madwoman is said to be cursed, possessed, or worse, dangerous. One wrong movement, and the village might decide you need cleansing, which for the record, doesn't involve baths. It involves fire. Your family tries to keep you quiet. They lock the door. They whisper prayers. They press damp cloths to your forehead and hope the priest doesn't hear about the screaming. The priest visits anyway. He watches you with narrowed eyes as you rock back and forth. You try to explain that you're fine, that your head just feels too loud. But your words tumble out like nonsense. He doesn't smile. He crosses himself and leaves a bucket of holy water by the door. You're lucky. In some towns, women in your state are taken to the edge of the woods and simply left. Others are confined to convents, their heads shaved, their names erased. Some are bled, yes, bled, until the madness drains out. As if your brain were just a faulty wineskin. One fringe cure? You're not ready for this. Some healers swear by burying a live eel beneath the bed of the afflicted. The idea that the worm-like creature would draw out the evil. All it draws, frankly, is flies. And yet, amid all this chaos, you have moments. Little flickers of clarity. You remember the sky, the sound of wind through the trees. You remember someone laughing. Maybe you, maybe not. You reach for that memory like it's a ladder out of a well. And for a heartbeat, the fog lifts. You're here. You're still you. Not a monster. Not a witch. Just sick. Just scared. Just human. And then, just as quickly, it's gone again. By now your body is weary, your mind half shadow, half light. But fate isn't quite finished yet. One chilly morning your skin begins to itch, not the usual scratchy wool irritation, but a deep crawling sensation under the surface. You press your fingers to your face and feel something. A swelling? No, it's a blister, then 2, then 5. They bloom overnight like angry boils, rising beneath your skin with sickly pink halos. It starts on your cheeks, spreads to your neck, then across your arms like a map of some ancient, cursed country. You've seen it before. Last spring, a girl named Maretha broke out like this. They said she had a fever of shame, that it was the sin crawling out of her skin to warn others. They made her sleep in the goat shed. No one ever drank from her family's well again. Historians today might call it smallpox, or impetigo, or even an allergic reaction to rotting linen bandages or rancid animal fat. But back then, people saw your face and saw judgment. Disease was divine punishment, or worse, a sign that you carried the punishment for others. Now the whispers begin. She was cursed from birth. Her mother spoke to a Moor. She walked past the cemetery moonwise 3 times. Your face burns, not from fever now, but from shame. You hide your reflection in the brass water bowl. You turn from the candlelight. You feel monstrous. And yet people come, not to help, but to pray over you like you're already gone. They chant. They dab your face with crushed rose petals soaked in vinegar. One neighbor suggests powdered frog bone. Another insists raw honey mixed with ash will seal the sores. Nothing works. One day a midwife visits. She brings with her a poultice made of mud, lard, and crushed gooseberries. She smears it gently on your blisters, humming a lullaby while doing it. She doesn't flinch at your appearance. She even calls you beautiful. It's the first time you've heard that word since the boils came. She stays a while, telling you stories of Roman women who bathed in wine to keep their skin soft, of Egyptian queens who used honey for wounds. She tells you your face isn't cursed, it's just fighting. And fighting, she says, makes you braver than half the men in this town. Your fever fades slowly, your skin scabs, then scars, but you survive. Later, you overhear children say you were touched by fire and lived. They say your soul must be guarded by a raven, or a saint, or something older. Suddenly, you're not an outcast. You're mysterious. You're sacred adjacent. Historians still argue whether survivors of such outbreaks were actually feared or revered. Some say they were shunned for life. Others say they became village healers themselves, walking testaments to divine strength. You just want a nap. Because what the plague didn't burn, what the fever didn't break, and what the boils didn't steal. Exhaustion finished. So tonight you sleep. Your skin still tender, your breath still shallow. But you're here, and that's more than most.